simple string. It's in basic. Simple string. So what's up, people? I am resuming this thing that was happening way back when we were cleaning up the different ways that stuff gets inserted into namespaces. We're back at that because I haven't worked on this in like, I don't know how many weeks. And there's something going on where this overload of toLower is not making it into this namespace before we resolve it, or something like that. I'm trying to figure out how to make this easier to debug, because kind of what's happening is, you know, we're compiling this thing. It wants this overload of toLower, and for whatever reason, this overload of toLower is not available in a parent of our namespace. And there's like several reasons why that might not be happening. And in order to figure out why it's not happening, it's a little bit annoying, all the things I have to do. Like, is it because okay. Like, this import thinks it completed, probably. We need to verify that. You know, it's supposed to flag. It's supposed to prevent us from looking up identifiers until it's completed, right? So, yeah. Also, this might be a very short stream because I just realized I'm a little bit hungry. So we might do like 45 minutes or an hour, and then I'll go eat some stuff and then come back on later tonight. But my goal is just making progress on the compiler. Because we've been doing game stuff for a while. Pretty solidly. We've done a lot of game stuff, and that's been good. But let's do some compiler stuff. So this is a load directive. So is like the import completing, like the thing I need to know to debug this is like, are we skipping this import? Are we resolving this identifier before this import completes? Or is this import completing before we finish this load? It doesn't seem likely. Or is this load somehow not putting things in the right namespace? Okay. I'm tempted to make a directive to make like a compiler directive debug, compiler debug directive that sets a breakpoint when it happens, because that'll make hunting things down less painful. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Because then I can just propagate that flag. Yeah, let's try that approach. We're being experimental. So we're going to put that maybe just on declaration. Let's see. Let's go to the parser. Directive, possible directive. Where do we look for directives? Oh, we have a thing. Let's just put it here for now. No, let's put it on the declaration. It's going to be a bit of a hack. It's fine. So we parse this declaration. We freed up a bunch of declaration flags. Oh, we want this on scope entry, though. Entry compiler debug flag. Yeah, baby. Results. Oh, I can't do this without parentheses because C++. Results. Scope entry flags or equals entry compiler debug. Right. I don't know if we redeclared token there or not. Yeah, I thought so. Okay. So let's try putting that in. Simple string. Like, I think that'll just do it. I don't know. Okay, good. So when we do, let's make sure this works. wait. Oh, that's the release compiler. Okay. Compiler debug here. Boom. Great. So now I could actually trace that through the system. Like I could set breakpoints at places. So when we make an import link, I don't remember what file any of this stuff is in. Import link. Is that the only one? Messenger. Okay, that's different. Non-import link. Okay. So, yeah. So, if source scope entry flags and this thing result scope entry flags or equals that, and then we say interp report info linked result linked to scope entry with compiler debug sets. All right. What does compiler debug do? I literally just implemented it. It doesn't do anything yet. Okay. So we link. Let's I don't know if importer could be null. Yes, it can. importer is not a member. Don't know what I was thinking. Don't know what I was thinking. All right. Okay, so what's I need a bigger window. Maybe I should download that Microsoft console. Okay. Compiler debug. Here, great. Link to scope entry with compiler debug set. Link to scope. '8411, okay. Link to scope entry with compiler debug set. Okay. Using basic. Okay. We didn't get one of these for this one. So what I actually want to do is I want to make compiler debug I want to put compiler debug also on an import directive, I guess. I mean, it's not a... I need a different debug flag. Because I don't want to get confused about which is which. Because import is also a scope entry. So if I put the same flag, it's like, am I trying to track when someone declares this or what? So what we're going to do is make a... See, this is really interesting because what I need in order to understand this is like some timed listing of events. And that's what is hard to get out of a debugger, right? So like sometimes printf debugging really is better. Unless somebody like, I would like it if somebody made a debugger that made this kind of thing. There have been bugs that I spent 2 days just stepping through stuff in the on this compiler, just stepping through stuff, trying to figure out what was the order of what was going on. It's been very hairy sometimes. We've been simplifying the compiler since then, so it's good, but yeah. So, okay. We link to a scope entry. We link to a scope entry from here. We linked, so Windows, yeah, this is, okay, this is a totally different, but we never see this happen in the string module, right? So we see an import basic in the main program, but not in the string module. So either it's not happening yet, or it's happening, but it's happening like before this, and then we're not waiting on it. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say, see, this is what's great when you run your own compiler. You can do anything you want. When you make your own programming language, you can do anything you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, no. Wait, where are we? We're going to go import debug. That's a new directive. I just declare, I decree that that's a new directive, right? And so we're going to go import debug, right? And I'm going to say, well, we're going to make an import flag. import flags is import flag debug. So let's make sure that compiles, and then we'll use that flag. Mic is a little bit low today, really? I didn't change anything, but Windows rebooted, so who the hell knows what's going on? Like, I did just install an update and then it decided to reboot again for no reason. So settings may have arbitrarily changed. They may have patched how they handle microphones. I don't know. Is this better or what? Good now? Okay. Okay. All right, so do we parse that? Yes. Okay, so, whoops. Nothing different should be happening yet. Actually, here. We should run with no jobs to get this consistent results every time. This seems like more than what I was looking at, so let's take a look. So there's our compiler debug. It's on to lower. It's getting exported to filescope because it's within a scope export. I should just let's clean that up. So is that a directive scope? Yeah. Okay. So when we print out these messages, so where are they? Linked to scope entry. Okay. So if importer and importer type is not equal to s directive scope. If it's a scope directive, we don't want to print as much information. If it's equal to a scope directive, this actually exported to parent scope by anonymous struct union, I think. I'm not sure that that's what this case means. I was confused about it when I typed it before. Yeah. Let's do this way. If importer, and then we'll do the is equal first. Right, else, okay, that's if there's an importer. And if there's no importer, we do that one. Okay. Let's just see. Okay. I don't know why that's happening twice, first of all. Oh, because the load directive no, I honestly don't know why it's happening twice. I might not. Anyway, we'll have to look at that. So we do this import debug. Oh, interesting. So maybe we didn't. So now we're getting a totally different result. I mean, we can start debugging this one again. It's because, okay, it's because I wasn't running with no jobs before. So when you're threaded, like, different crap can happen. Although, different crap isn't happening, so I'm kind of worried. Like, I don't know why anything I did would have changed the result. All right, well, this is the same basic problem, though. It's the same thing. It's in a different location, but, you know, we're trying to call compare, and we don't see the other overload. There's an overload of compare somewhere that, let's find out where that is. Compare with two strings. Let me just see. Okay, this is bizarre, guys. What? So if I change that, okay, I must have made a terrible mistake. Does anyone else look at the... What is going on, dude? This should be the same. In fact, let's not even... I wonder if someone's testing import flags incorrectly. Dude, if I'm setting import flag debug and somebody else is reading it as a different flag because we don't have strongly typed flag fields, that could be a significant problem. Yeah, look, I'm not setting the flag, and we get this bug in too lower. But if I do set the flag, then we don't? Are you kidding me? Okay. Well, who looks at import flags? Oh, there's this thing. There's whether it's shared or not. Okay. Okay, let's not make it an import flags. So what happens is if you import a module many times, if you're importing what's really exactly the same module, you'll just get, it won't recompile it, you'll just get links to the same one, right? But if it's different, and right now it's just unshared is the only flag, then it does something different. So that actually made sense. I didn't think it did. All right, so we're back to lower here. Okay. Okay. We're back. So, yeah, once again, I don't see an import into string of basic. Well, I don't see that scope entry getting linked through basic, right? So it's not surprising we don't look it up. I don't know if the import of basic is firing yet. And so, I want to set a thing, start one imports. And then we'll say load debug is import debug, right? Actually, we already have enclosing import. So we perform loads. So we do this. I don't remember how this works. Okay. Where does this happen? This is what happens when I don't work on something for weeks, is it becomes hard to remember. Okay. Oh yeah, there's a thing, the automatic export target. Where do we set that? Typer. So if we have a module struct, okay, we will say, how do I get the import directive? I remember this thing where we make a using. Let me get some water. What I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to refresh my memory about what is the actual sequence of events when you do an import directive. It seems like it would be important for me to know that, but it's complicated enough that I don't exactly know. And again, this is the kind of thing that would be tremendously simpler in a compiler that didn't have out of order compilation, but we do, so. Okay. Well, so I think that what we did, because we changed this around, which is one reason I don't remember, but I think when you have a bare using like that, or a bare import, we make a using for it. Or maybe we don't. That's the part that I don't remember. I think we do. I think we do. I think we make a using. Aha, we do it right there. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to put a debug flag on this. Or no, let's do debug import is import. All right. So then over here, if we've got a module struct, what's this called? Debug import. Well, that doesn't mean the debug flag is set. If this is a debug, then we say report info import did initial using for this import new line. That's all. Dude, I can compile my entire game like 6 times in the time it takes to build this one file in Visual Studio. All right. Is not ever printing that, which makes me think that just didn't work. Let's just see. That is at 108.40. Did I save that? Debug import. We do set that in theory. This doesn't seem right. This anonymous module had this isn't right. This could be our bug if okay. So what this is saying is, look, if the import isn't bound to a name, right? Let's check that. But if this isn't bound to a name, do some things, right? Yeah. So this is going to be accept top level expression or whatever it's called. Where are we at? Oh, well, this is parsing. Anyway. So if we parse an expression and it's an import, then it's not an import on the right side of a declaration. It's just an import, right? So we say it's bare. So what this is saying is, hey, if this import was bare, then we set this anonymous module head. But like, that's not right, because you could import something bare in one place and not bare in another place, right? It could have a name in another place. And then, like I said, if the import flags are the same, you'll just link to the same module instead of rebuilding it. And so whether this flag is set or not is going to depend on which order we happen to process those two things. So I don't see how this can possibly be right. I don't know what we're using this flag for. But my impulse is to get rid of it. Okay, if there's a placeholder, I should just say oh, damn it, I accidentally, oh God. I accidentally clicked on my window too much. Dude. Okay. Really, we just want any module head, not anonymous module head there. And that could be see, this can't really work this way. I have a fundamental conceptual problem. I have a fundamental conceptual problem. So this is about, do you have a using that's putting something into a file scope in a module that's being exported? You know what? We're just going to burn this down. No, we're not going to burn it down. We're going to target scope parent. We just need to fix things. Sometimes you need to break eggs before you can unbreak eggs. Okay, so we're just getting rid of this flag. I guess, wait, let's just look at all the instances of it. I just want to delete this flag. I hate this flag. So that's that. This is just about, are we in a root scope? This is wrong anyway. Because you're never going to be in application scope, so I don't, yeah, we're going to have to revisit that. This is just setting the flag, so who cares? That's the declaration of the flag. What is this one? If there's an identifier and it's in an anonymous module, then we do automatic export. Like this should just be do we belong to struct? Yeah. So we can do all this differently. All right, let's just do it. We're getting rid of the flag. We're getting rid of that. See, I even marked it temporary. And then I started using it. That's no good. Getting rid of that. And then we're going to fix the rest one by one. So typer 10940. Okay. So okay. And then, so here we're saying, hey, if there's an anonymous if we're doing this into a module, but so here we're going to say scope belongs to struct and not is instantiable scope belongs to struct. So if this is just, so not instantiable basically means is it a module? That's what it means. So then we iterate over all the automatic exports. I think we have one more, right? Yeah. Okay, this one, if it's a placeholder and not in the global scope, ignore it. Okay, what is this saying? We do this because currently code added from a run isn't going to go into this file scope. So the placeholder sitting in that file scope will never get replaced. Right. Okay. So, yeah, what we really want to know is it file scope? We might be able to tell that now differently. Block is file scope. All right. All right. I mean, some of these things we're doing might not work right, but who knows? What's up, Raider people? Okay. Wow. Totally different output. Well, that's a bummer. One of the things I just did I suspect it's this one. Why don't we just check for file scope there again? That's what we really want to know, I think. If it's not file scope, we don't export. Really, we could just check cleanup. Really, we can just check during do single insertion whether it is file scope. See, what was happening here is I was exporting things from a struct into its parent scope or something. I don't even know. I don't even know. Okay, so now we're back to our original problem. -1 complication. So we're still never seeing that one go off. Where was my thing? This thing. This isn't going off. Ever. For anything. Not even just for the one that we're looking for, but like for any using in the program. No using of any module struct is ever going off? Maybe. Maybe. Let's see. No. Wait, what? Okay, just nobody with a debug flag, maybe. Right? Nobody with a debug flag. Let's try putting the debug flag on somebody else. I don't know. Import debug CRC. There we go. So this is working. Okay, so the information that we're getting is that that import of basic is not firing. Which, if it doesn't fire, it would make sense that we don't have anything that it's supposed to import. What doesn't make sense is why did we think that we were able to resolve this identifier then? Because you're not allowed to resolve an identifier. Well, okay, let me put it this way. So function overloads, you have to resolve them, right, based on the arguments that you're calling. You have a number of functions, procedures. They've got the same name. You have to figure out which one you're trying to call based on the arguments of the procedure. Now, if an import hasn't completed, there might be more procedures with the same name waiting to get imported, so you can't do that resolution yet, right? If your identifier resolved to something besides a procedure, you actually don't have to wait because you're like, okay, this is going to shadow, this is a data item. It's going to shadow anything else that could get imported, right? So in the case where your identifier resolves to a procedure, then you're not allowed to consider that done until everybody up the whole scope chain is done. And that is apparently broken here. I'm not sure why, but it is. So we're going to go back to this type mismatch error. And, you know, if I had just done straightforward debugging of the thing, then this would have told us this. So the resolved procedure expression is an identifier, right? It's an ident. And we can go resolve one ident, and we can break there on this identifier, right? Conditions. Ident arrow s is equal to that. Okay? Okay. So we find the scope entry. Entry, yield upon. Okay, we found it. That's great. It's not surprising that we found it because it's like our own procedure, right? If you remember what we're doing. No. We're looking up two lower from within two lower. So it's like literally right there. Okay. We don't yield, I guess. Okay. I'm not sure about this. Anyway, if I remember correctly, wait, what? I thought we were supposed to do fancy things about... I guess that's later. Hold on, I gotta refresh my memory on this too. An identifier. Oh. Wait, overload set. Ident. We didn't see overloads. We just never. Okay, so let's hit that again. Like, why we didn't just call this, I don't know. So we're going to go up a few scopes because we're like in a procedure. So there's like 3 scopes before we get into a real scope. Okay. So here we're saying, hey, are we waiting on inserters? No. This is going to be our file scope, I guess. Let's see. Where are we? Current scope. Oh, it's the constants block of the... We're still in the procedure, man. Okay. Now we're in the file scope, right? Because block is file scope is probably one of those flags. OX20, right? So OX34 has a 2O in it. So that's right. It's a large lookup. We find okay. Where is the thing that's supposed to find the overloads? So this part is actually fine. What I'm not remembering is where, like what we do is we look up the initial thing and then later we say like mix into overloads. Or like resolve overloads, something with overloads. Collect overloads. So let's find out about that. Because what I'm remembering now is like we look up the closest scope entry and we just resolve that. We say that's your resolved identifier. But then later, well, like later we put things into the overload set. And it's, it maybe could be simpler than that. But we're cleaning up one thing at a time. So collect overloads. Maybe we don't ever get there for this identifier. Let's find out. Resolve when ident. Collect overloads. Okay. So this block should still be our file scope. Yes. So this is what's causing this problem, I think, is the import hasn't completed in the outer scope. We found our declaration inside the file scope because we live in our own file scope. Okay, we're not, this scope I don't believe is waiting on inserters. I don't think. It's the parent scope that is going to be waiting on inserters. Okay, now we're in the enclosing scope. This should be waiting on inserters. It isn't. It isn't. This is the module struct. So, right, this block belongs to struct for import string, right? This should be waiting on inserters, at least for this. I don't know if this is completed, but this hasn't completed. That's an inserter. Or maybe we have a different flag for imports still, and we need to clean that up. Because imports didn't used to be inserters. Anyway, this is where, no, I don't see checking another flag here, so we must have got rid of that. So this is supposed to be there. It's not there. So we're going to try to find the declaration. We actually are going to find one, but it's going to be for our own procedure that we already have. It's not going to be for that, like, overload set. It's going to be an import link. It's an import link. And see, there's no overload yet, right? Whereas when this completes, there will be an overload. So I don't know why this isn't waiting on inserters. Maybe we just fail to set that. All right. So Well, are we just not calling add inserter for this thing? It's possible. Well, this should do it. Maybe we're not calling this. Static if. Okay. Who does note uncompleted using? Yeah, we don't ever call this. This is very error prone, I think. When we add a statement, oh, maybe this is fine. Let's just check. If asked using arrow debug import debug interp report info asked using all right. Let's just see what happens there. Probably nothing. Yeah. So why? Let's see if we ever get an asked using debug import. Wait, did that work? I never trust this anymore. Yeah, it does. So we do. Oh, but we're okay. The problem is we're actually doing this before we set that other stuff. Like this start one import does the other things. Does that matter? So this is never going to be true because debug import gets set after we return and go do other things. We add an inserter. Okay, so we're going to debug this the old-fashioned way. We're going to remove this. We're going to fuck this program, dude. I hate it. I hate it. Okay. So this is when we add a statement to a block. So the import was bare, we made a using for it, we queued it, we added it to the block, we note uncompleted using. We add inserter. So what I want to do here is I want to put a breakpoint here where I say let's break on our debug imports, right? Because we should have set that at parse time. So I could say import arrow debug. We don't want this anymore yet. We want to step into that from the other thing. Wait, what? What? How is that? Okay, this is informative, actually. So we're looking up this identifier before we even... Oh, my God, look at all these old breakpoints. Hold on. Hold on. Let's delete some things. Oh my God. Okay, so this is not even happening unless I'm really confused. Oh wait, this is only... Well, it shouldn't be unshared. Maybe we're not setting it bare? So add directive imports. Who calls that? Accept top level. Are we not accept top level expressioning it? Like, let's see. Import arrow debug. We are. So we matched a different, we're returning because we matched somebody different. Right. See, okay. So somebody else is importing with not the debug flag, right? Which is making this hard to... Okay. Import module struct s. Import module struct s. So this is going to be shared between these guys. So when I want to make this breakpoint down here, instead of breaking it on the import, I can say import module struct and import module struct s is equal to this. So that's going to be everybody who imports basic, right? So this one, it's going to be a bunch, right? So import line number, line 1 of Sokoban first. All right, the one we are looking for. Oh, no, this is going to be the only time, probably. Never mind. Oh, bro, this is the problem. This is the problem because we're returning because we matched another module. Ding, ding, ding. Okay. So here, this code, this is the problem. You know, the system used to work a different way, and then we started making modifications. This module says, look, if we're not unshared, then we're shared, right? If we're shared, look for anybody else who did an import. And if you find them, just say we're the same module in return. That used to work fine before we were trying to do stuff down here. So what happened is, you know, we said when you add statement, that's what adds the inserter, because we're moving everything to be inserters now, which they didn't used to be, right? So add statement is only being called the first time that there's an import, which is not okay. Like this thing, needs to happen for everybody. Yeah, this is confused. Okay, I'm going to go get some food now because I'm really hungry. So I'm sorry to break this off before I actually start typing in the solution to the problem. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong and it'll be a big mess. But I believe what we just need to do is essentially just move all this stuff. I mean, I need to check. The simplest thing to do is to factor it out into like handle bear import, and then call that here, and then call it here after I set the module struct. Because the thing is, you could factor it to an earlier point, but some of this stuff probably wants to know if we're importing a module. Yes, because there's that automatic export target thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to factor this into a procedure called, you know, maybe handle bear import. And we're going to just call it there, and we're going to call it there. It's something that happens once a module struct gets assigned. Okay. We're going to do that later tonight. What do I think is the future of a Java developer like? I don't know. I don't know anything about Java. I have spilled tea on myself more than once. More than once. The future of any developer who calls themselves a language developer is poor. That's a little bit true, right? Like, look, if you understand programming, you should be able to switch between different languages. You won't have the same degree of effectiveness in other languages at first because you don't know what all the procedures are called that you want to call and whatever. And you're maybe not used to thinking about one or two weird things about how that language works, but you ought to be able to program in anything, right? If you haven't built that skill yet, try it. Try programming in a different language than what you're used to, just on your own time, you know, on a weekend or on a night time at 1 a.m. Because if you haven't done that, it's really very much worth it to do that. You spilled tea on your leg. Well, there you go. All right, people, thank you for coming by. We'll stream up again later tonight and attempt this solution. And, you know, we were doing some major overhaul on the compiler. So even if this solution works, I might not, okay, so first of all, I might not be thinking of everything. Secondly, there might be complications and it's not as easy just to do this solution. I don't know. And third, even if this fixes this problem, it may not be the only problem because we were doing some pretty significant restructurings. So we'll see. We'll see how it comes out. Let's find out if we can host somebody with a Safe for Work game today. I don't know. I don't really see a lot, except for the usual suspects. So we may just do a usual suspect. Game design with rows.
That's weird and dumb. I hate it.
It's C sharp
This is out of the list.
in Unity.
No, I know.
But it looks like they're just starting. And they have files called yeet.cs. I don't know about this. Like they literally don't have anything yet. So maybe that's not. What about this?
So now I need to figure out this.
Spreadsheets. I don't know. I don't know. Gaming the develop. There sure is a lot of gaming the develop happening here. Okay. Is he just thinking about UI design? I don't know. It's hard, people. Deadly fire beams. Deadly fire beams could be good.
Like,
Public static void add beam.
With the exception of
All right.
the constructors.
Let's do some deadly fire beams. And oh wait. We're watching someone watch something? Wait, this one or a different? No, this is this guy. You must have been talking about a previous one. All right. Let's see some deadly fire beams, and I'll see you guys later tonight. I can't raid this channel. It won't let me. What? Is that a thing? Does he have like a raid shield? What's going on?
You can't smell, but I can smell delicious corned beef.
What?
I was so in a hurry to start coding. I didn't have.
Okay, rip. I wanted to send him some viewers, but I can't do it. It literally says you cannot raid this channel. We can raid virtual assistant. Let's make a strategy game. All right, you know what? Let's see what Lana's up to, because nobody else is doing anything. She's got glowy text, guys. It's all right. All right, glowy text. Thanks everyone for coming by, and I'll see you later.